Hey gang, hope you're well. This is going to be a fascinating topic this week, and just to get you into the right sort of headspace for this, and I guess the right feeling for what we're going to be talking about is uh, think about, I guess, a time in your life when you've really struggled. I'm going to be talking about career mainly, as this applies to business and the choices we make about our careers. But I'm also curious about how this will apply to your life. And so think about that time in your career and life when you've had the greatest struggle. If you want to write it down, just feel it, feel into it, what it was, when it was, feel the feedback you got or the struggle you had or the thing the person said to you. How it made you feel. Now here's the thing I want you to reflect on. In hindsight, as you look back on that, what did you learn from that? What did you learn? What we're going to be talking about today is the idea that we have different seasons in our career and different seasons in our life. We move from one part to another. And too often we're either impatient or we're seeking the next thing when we haven't learnt the lesson of the current season. And so we're going to be learning about the different seasons that we've had in our lives and our careers. We're going to be pondering the nature of how we both have learnings and challenges associated with them, and then we're going to be thinking about the interconnections between learning and success. Okay, let's do this. Let's talk more. As I go along, what I would like you to do is to think about how this relates to you and your world. So here's the first thing: is if you can imagine, you know, life is like this, right? Some of those ups and downs are even more drastic for some of you. But for the purposes of being able to draw this effectively, we're going to just draw it as a single line. And you imagine that life has got a whole series of seasons. Now, we can look at those just sequentially, but because this is a career thing, let's just think, you know, there's the section of your childhood. There's the section of school. And then let's go, you know, this is also a little phase in here where we go to uni. Or school, if you're in the US. And then, you know, there's the first work experience, and then we kind of get into our middle career. And you can imagine those jobs where we get a little bit of management responsibility, and we're making those choices about whether we want to specialize or we want to manage people, or, you know, how do we get ahead? You know, and we're kind of pondering these questions and working things out. And then eventually we kind of feel like at some level we've made it, we've become the boss. And then, you know, at the end of this, there's post-work. You know, what we do after work finishes, retirement. You know, we tend to not use those terms anymore, but you get what I mean, right? And here's the thing: is for many of us, what we do is, when we're at school, we don't want to be at school anymore. We want to be at uni. We want to have the freedom of not having to, you know, turn up from 9 till 3 and not having teachers to tell us what to do. And then we're at uni, we want the dollars of that first job, and we think, you know, we kind of think 9 to 5 is where it's at. Right? That's exactly where we're at. And then we get into the 9 to 5 job and we think, oh, what am I doing this? Why am I wasting my life doing this? And then we get more responsibility, and often at the same time, we have kids at the same time, and we kind of we searching and searching for this thing, and then eventually we feel like we make it, and then when we're the boss, we've got no time. Often we've got probably more dollars, and we've got kids, and we've got a whole lot of stuff going on, and each one of these things is we're sort of there's two processes going on. We are simultaneously resisting what is, and we're also seeking what's next. For those of you who have been to any of my career workshops, what you'll notice is that one of the things I talk about is that when you go from one job to another, it's actually the challenges that are important. So for example, if you're going from a job that pays you more, but you've got more responsibility, you got to manage more people. The challenge you've got at the moment is the money, but the challenge you're going to have in the next job is being able to manage across that group of people. So do you want that challenge, or do you want to retain the freedom? So each one of the different seasons we take as we make these jumps, we both learn something, but there's also a challenge that we're trying to run from, or that we feel is driving us away from it. And in resisting and seeking, what often happens is that we fail to learn. We fail to learn what school is about. And we fail to be in it in the moment and take what the lesson is for us. The same thing, with university. And our first job is, each of these phases is there to teach us something that makes us into who we are. And if we resist what that is, we can fail to learn, and it means that we don't get to the next step. So the way we look at this a little bit differently is that if you could imagine the success career. So if we looked at this same timeline, but we looked at it a little bit differently. If you define the success career like this, all right, which is that same timeline. If you define success by dollars, okay, don't define success by dollars. Anyway, if you do, you would look at it like this parabola, okay? That it goes up and down, and you sort of start work, or what we talk about, it's schooling, and this is post work. But here's the thing, is that if you look at your growth and your development and your learning over that time, this is the success curve, but the growth curve goes like that, or maybe it goes probably more like that, a little bit flatter at the start. And because each one of these stages, or these seasons that you've been through, you've learned, you've grown, you've been challenged, and there's been something that you've had to overcome. All of these make you who you are. So it's becoming who you are. It's being a better version of yourself that is the most important thing. And in becoming who you are and learning those lessons, you can more effectively tap into this curve of success. You're able to be more authentic. You're able to command more, do more, do it at a different quality. And it's actually that journey that matters the most. Does that make sense? So I hope. I know that most of the time when I talk about something like this, it's useful for people, and I know it's been useful for you. But here's the thing, understanding is only one thing. Understanding is not what matters. What matters is that you resonate with this in your own experience when you watch it, and that it triggers something in you. When it triggers something in you, don't cling to it, don't resist it, just sit with it. And then think about how you can apply it in your own career and in your own life. Love your work. Talk to you soon. Have a great week.